What does knowing a word mean? On a very basic level, knowing a word in a foreign language means knowing what its equivalent is in your native language. But that's really just the beginning. There are at least 8 different aspects to knowing what a word means. This ranges from spelling and pronunciation, knowing the level of formality, positive or negative associations, word families, grammar and context, common word partnerships, and finally, knowing about the different meanings that a word can have. Spelling and pronunciation are 2 of the first things to know about when learning a word. So let's start with them. Usually, if you can spell the word, it makes it easier for you to know how to pronounce the word. The word ship, for example, only has 1 syllable, so it's not very complicated. But you still might make a mistake with the vowel sound in the middle of the word and produce a completely different word like sheep. Other words, such as knowledge or chocolate, have silent letters or syllables that are not pronounced. Then there are words that contain sounds that are hard to pronounce because they do not exist in your mother language. Breath, then, hand. You also have other words with hard to pronounce consonant groups or combinations of vowels, such as squirrel, brownie, thousands, hedgehog, or focus. As if that wasn't complicated enough, many of these words are pronounced differently depending on whether you're speaking British English, American English, Australian English, etc. Spelling. In written formal communication, spelling mistakes are regarded as a sign of carelessness. So obviously, it's important to be able to spell correctly, and also to systematically use a spell checker on any document or text you produce before sending it. It is also useful to know that some words have the same pronunciation but different meanings. These words are called homonyms. For example, bear and bear, buy and buy, wear and wear, ate and ate. Knowing that these words exist can help you avoid potential confusion or misunderstandings. Finally, you should be aware that there are some differences in terms of spelling between American and British English. Here are some examples. Behavior, neighbor, center, maneuver, analog, dialogue, authorize, recognize. Formal and informal words. Learning new words and phrases is exciting and fun, but if you use them in the wrong place with the wrong people, you may well receive strange looks. In the worst case scenarios, your inappropriate words may offend people, or at the very least, lead to a breakdown in communication. In the same way, it is important to use appropriate forms of greetings in emails or letters, depending on the relationship you have with your correspondents. When you're in a business meeting, you generally make an effort to try and use more sophisticated vocabulary and more complete sentences. But you wouldn't speak in such a formal way when having lunch with a colleague you know very well. The choice between formal and informal expressions is extremely important in written texts, such as emails or business letters. Using the wrong form of address in an email, for example, or being too familiar, can be considered impolite or presumptuous. If you're not sure about the level of formality of a word or a phrase, check it in the monolingual dictionary or ask your teacher. Once you send your email, it's too late to make any changes. Associations. Knowing a word also means being aware of the positive or negative associations that accompany the basic meanings of words. For example, when we hear the word exam, we know what an exam means. But exam can often carry a negative association of stress and possible failure. In the same way, birthday often carries positive associations of happiness, gifts, and good times. Dentist is another word which is often associated with negative feelings of pain and suffering. So by knowing about the common associations of words, you're in a better position to choose the right word. This is particularly useful when you're writing an important email at work to a potential client. For example, when describing a new technology to a client, it's better to call it a unique technology which has positive associations of creativity and quality. Of course, you could call it a different technology, which is fine, but it doesn't make your technology sound special or superior to any other. Finally, if you call it a peculiar technology, it sounds as if there is a strange or possibly unreliable aspect to your technology. So be careful about the choice of words you use. They can make a big difference.